Welcome to the Super Impactful Podcast. This podcast was designed to highlight the many ways that we're leading with impact in Duncanville ISD. This podcast will give you an inside view of what we're doing in the City of Champions. Today, I have as my special guest the legendary coach, Reginald Samples. All right, Coach. Well, so everyone knows, I get all these phone calls from people. Is Coach retiring on you? Or can I come coach? And the answer is no, because Duncanville High School has a coach, and one that we're very proud of.
Well, I plan to be at Duncanville next year. I'm excited about coming back. We left last year with some unfinished business, and we're going to resolve ourselves to get things taken care of.
You know, when we talk about being a legend, Coach, I think about a couple of things. I have to jot some things down because, Coach Samples, you're not the type of person you can just remember those incredible accolades about. When I think about, Coach, you're a two-time state championship coach. You've been to the what we call the state championship 7 times, going back to 2004, even at Lincoln in Dallas, and of course the other 6 being here. You are the US Today's National Coach of the Year, the Max Prep Coach of the Year, Texas High School Association Coach of the Year, and Coach, you have a record of 365 wins, 91 losses, and 2 ties. When you hear those accolades, what is that? What do you think about?
Well, just I'm thankful that I've had a lot of assistance from a lot of good people, from the community to my superintendents like yourself, staff members, teachers, parents, been associated with a lot of good football players and had some great coaching staff. So I'm just really proud. There's a lot of hard work involved, but I can't take the credit all for myself. I've had a lot of good help.
Good deal, Coach. Just out of curiosity, Coach, do you remember those 2 ties?
Not at all.
I had a feeling you wouldn't remember them at all. Well, Coach, here in Duncanville, we have a leadership goal built around leading with impact. And a part of that, we have these values that go along with what it means to really lead with impact. And when I think about you, generally I ask people, well, which 2 do you think relate to you the most? But for you, Coach, it's 2 that just jumps out at me. And the first one is valuing people, and the second one is elevating excellence. I have the privilege of not just working beside you every day, but more importantly, of watching you in action. And I'm just always impressed with your relationships with people and how you just elevate the spirit of excellence. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, one of my goals is always to encourage young people and people in general just to get better. I try to make sure that they focus on getting better, not just physically because it's football, but mentally because, I think that's very important to your success is just always striving to get better.
Right, love it, Coach. When I came into Duncanville as superintendent, I heard all of this talk, even before coming in, about being the City of Champions. I then came in and heard a lot of talk about this leading with impact. And when I think about what the City of Champions mean, you play a huge role in that. Your legacy does. But also, when I think about what it truly means to lead with impact, Coach, your legacy and your impact are great. What do you want your legacy and impact to be, whenever you do decide to hang up your cleats?
Well, one of the things I like for people to know about me is that even though I probably coached 30 years before I won a state championship, but I always felt good about my legacy because one of the things I always emphasize among my players and people around me was just character, because I think character is really tied to your success. And if you can develop character in the people that are around you, sooner or later everything will fall in place. If you think about it, nobody likes to be around somebody that's not humble, an arrogant person.
Right.
Nobody likes to be around someone who's not honest. Nobody wants to be around somebody that won't accept their responsibility.
Right.
So I think just trying to develop character actually makes the job easier, and it also makes it a lot more fun to work with people when they have character.
Right, right. And what I'll say to you, Coach, on that respect, too, is that, I think a judge of a great leader is how you develop those that you're leading. One thing that people probably don't know about our program here at Duncanville is that, when you have a program that's been to the state championship, 8 of the last 10 years, winning twice, your number twos, your assistant coaches are often hired away from you every year. So, Coach, I've watched you sustain this excellence as you have developed new coaches pretty much. I've watched you over the last 2 years, and I know you've been doing that for a long time. What are those principles and those just habits that you think are very important for those coaches as they learn from you, but even more importantly, as they go lead in other schools in our state?
Well, I think the first thing in anything that you do is you have to establish a culture. And the culture is one that success is tied to working hard. It's applied to having some principles that everybody believes in and follows. And I think that once you can get that established, a winning culture, that way people know just to be associated with Duncanville or wherever you are, you have to come in and work hard. There's no slacking. There's no taking it easy. The culture is that in order for us to be successful, we're going to have to work.
Right, and I've seen on numerous occasions where you hold those grown men accountable when they are not doing exactly what you want, what they should be doing. Now, let's talk about coaches, but let's talk about the students, the men.
Okay.
One thing, and I'll tell anyone this, and I have a couple of examples. I won't really go into it today, where you are about developing men, even over developing athletes. Now, you want them to be phenomenal athletes for sure, but I've seen you hold people accountable when it may have not even been what's going to lead to the best score on on Friday nights, but you felt the men had to first be of character men. What are those life lessons, Coach, that you want those boys to have when they transition from that football into that next stage, whether that's at the college level, workforce, or whatever that may be? What do you want boys that leave your program to carry with them as life lessons?
Well, I don't know if it's carrying it, but one of the things I try to emphasize is that football is a microcosm of life, meaning all of the things that you experience in football are actually the same things that you're going to experience in life. You're going to win, you're going to lose, there are going to be disappointments, disagreements, and all of those things. So the thing that I want them to carry with them is the fact that as we develop relationships and as we communicate and go on through football, that you learn some things through going through those things that you can apply to life. And if you're ready for things that come at you, you're able to handle them better. And to me, that makes for a more successful person.
I like it. And Coach, one thing I want to compliment you on too is that even when you talk about your boys, oftentimes, your boys are some of our highest academic achievers in the district. When we talk about you and having boys ready to graduate at midterm, your program does a great job of that. So thank you so much for how you marry together athletics and academic achievements. What is the key secret sauce in that? How do you make sure that those boys are academically where they need to be and not just totally focused on sports?
Well, I was talking to a group of Little League players about 3 weeks ago, and one of the things I always emphasize, I try to emphasize it with the players that I have, and I was thinking about that. I've been at Duncanville for 10 years, probably had 200 guys every year that I've been associated with, and 100 that graduate. Well, that's about 1,000 kids. Wow. But of those 1,000 kids, when I really look at it, we probably only have about 4 kids that are actually in professional sports. Right. So one of the things I try to get them to sit down and really think about is that there's 1,996 other kids that are participating in athletics for 4 years that are not going to the NFL. Right. And when you think about that, then you got to ask yourself, what is going to be the driving force for you to make it in whatever other field that you go in? Right. And it's always education. Regardless, if you're a doctor, you've got to pass the medical degree. Mm-hmm. If you're a lawyer, you got to pass the bar. Right. Whatever, if you're in real estate, you have to pass a commission exam. Right. If you think about those, all of those things are tied to education. You got to study. You got to put in time. So one of the things I emphasize is that they need to build those habits at an early age. That way, when they get under pressure and they need to handle those type of exams, they've already prepared themselves.
Right, I love it. One thing that a mentor once told me, Coach, was that your people that are following you are only going to raise as high as you are. And I just want you to know you are a perfect example of, and that's why you have so much success and why your coaches who have come through your program have so much success. You know, I think about even something as simple as, Coach, you the first one here. And you set that example for the other coaches, and that's like at 6 in the morning. Your nights are very long, so please know we see you and we appreciate that. That's a lot of time away from your family, though. And you know, one thing I'll say, a pastor once said was that at the end of my life, when I'm laying out here and I'm being viewed, it won't be the state championships, it won't be all the awards that you will want people to talk about, but really. One thing that I know about you is what did my family say? And, you know, Coach Samples, anyone that's around the game knows what a family guy you are. You know, you are one amazing wife, Julie. You have 4 children, 3 girls, a boy, 8 grandchildren. And you got a new grandson that bears your name. Why do you think they chose to name their child after you, Coach?
Sometimes I wonder.
Come on, man. Why?
But I'm very proud of that. I get emotional. I don't think there's any man that wouldn't want their legacy to be passed on.
Right.
And so it's a great moment for me. It's really fulfilling. I mean, if you think about all the things, you know, you can talk about Coach of the Year, state champion, all that stuff is great. But one of the things that I am proud of, and when I think about moving on, passing on, don't like to think about being looked over. But when I think about those things, I can know and feel good about that in generations to come, that somebody bearing my name will be around, and hopefully that will make people wonder about some of the good things that I did or some of the accomplishments that I made or contributions that I made to society.
Right. And you a modest guy, but I'm going to tell you, people don't name their children after someone they don't greatly respect. So congratulations on that accomplishment.
I appreciate it.
One last question I got for you, Coach, is I do believe, and I see in leadership, especially senior level leadership, sometimes us chasing the work can really interfere with our families. What advice would you give to those? And it's a lot of young head coaches. We see it every day. The field's not quite. The longevity is not what it once used to be. But what advice do you give to those young coaches as it relates to that work-family balance?
Well, I think it's 2 things you have to really take into consideration. First of all, you have to make sure that whoever your companion is able to adapt to whatever lifestyle you plan to have. And I think a big part of that is just that indoctrination period. When I say that, I think you have to be around them and let them get used to what you're doing and what it's going to be like, and give them the opportunity to say, yeah, I can take care of it, it's okay, or no, this is not something I want to do. Another thing is that I'm a big proponent of time. And I tell my coaches, and even though it may not seem like it, but you always have to take some time for yourself and find something that you enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. And once you find that, you have to take some time away from sports and mm-hmm. away from your job, and take enough to where your fulfillment is at a point where you feel like, okay, I'm okay now, I'm ready to go back. And I think that's really important, because the times that I do regret doing the job that I'm doing is those times when I don't want to come back. And I think that becomes a negative when you're doing anything that you don't want to come back to. Right. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm able to say I'm going to keep coaching, is because in the last couple of months, I found some time to get away from Duncanville and football and the thoughts of football. And after I did that, I found myself saying that, hey, I feel good about where I am, and I feel like I want to go back and finish up doing what I'm doing. So those are the things that I think about.
Cool. I appreciate it. Coach, thank you so much for letting us learn from your legacy today. And I want to certainly thank all of our viewers for tuning in to our super impactful podcast. And again, today we had opportunity to learn from the legend, Reginald Samples, as he talks about how he leads with impact in Duncanville and creates championship experiences every day in the city of champions. Thanks for tuning in.
Go Panthers.
Go Panthers.